What up, guys? So
Hey
we're
there.
we're just discussing the real estate question of the day,
Mhm.
and the question that you got
Yeah.
was,
So the question I received was, what percent of the equity in your investments? So this is talking specifically about real estate investments. Would I be comfortable or am I comfortable with leveraging for other debt or other investments? So the gist of it was that, okay, Crystal, let's say you have, $8 million worth of equity and property. So this is, the equity is less what you owe on any pending loans, right? Let's say you got 8 million of that. What percentage of that equity would you be willing to leverage, right, to get into other investment opportunities? That was the question.
okay, so if I got $8 million worth of equity, how much is the property worth?
Let's say you got $8 million worth of equity across all of your real
You're right,
estate assets, but the net worth of those properties could be north of $12 million.
right. So that's the first thing that I would
Mhm.
analyze is, what percentage of equity, what's the total net worth of the real estate,
Yeah.
right? Versus the percentage that I have in it. And honestly, I'm only really comfortable, right? Leveraging short-term debt on my equity. So it's more of a repositioning of real estate. So I
Hmm.
can take that real estate and then like refinance it after I've stabilized it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I don't like taking out permanent debt unless I'm just in a really, really good cash flow situation, right?
Yeah.
If I can get a much cheaper interest rate,
Hmm.
or, I can stretch out my amortization much longer and, stretch the property out.
Hmm.
And the asset I'm getting has to be a cash flowing, like really, really good property, right?
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in, I like selling assets to purchase other assets,
Hmm.
because then I get all of my equity out. I feel like that for us, it's worked better when we sold to
Hmm.
move up
Hmm.
instead of leveraging this other property and then this property doesn't cash flow as much. And now we're only depending on, values. We're not depending on the cash flow.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think that'll answer that question too, Alan. It's like it kind of just depends. Like you got to understand what your investment philosophy is,
mm,
right? And you got to have a better understanding of what your risk tolerance is as well, right? So for us, as Alan mentioned, is that we don't want to leverage long-term debt with our equity. Right. We would leverage short-term debt. So if we're doing a couple of flips, if we are, building some ground up construction like we've done in the past, right, with those duplexes, we may take some of the equity, right, that exists in our existing assets to be able to, purchase that land, build that property, and then we're going to refinance it and take that equity and put it back where it belongs, right?
mhm.
So, we are probably a little more moderate, if I'm being honest with you guys about how risky we are in terms of leveraging the existing, equity that we have. But in the same token, it's just one of those things where our risks are very calculated, right?
Yep.
We're going to take a calculated risk that's going to be able to be fruitful for us for the long term.
Yeah, we'll slow grow it. I
Yeah.
think that I've seen a lot of people over the past 20 years leverage themselves into bad real estate investments.
Hmm.
And then when the market goes south, they can't get themselves in a good situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the real estate question of the day. If you have other questions similar to these, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be very happy to answer those questions for you. Okay. You have the dream.
We have the address. See you soon.
See ya.